is anytime I meet teachers, like I really am humbled and awe because you put yourself, I mean, you put other people and your knowledge, ahead of your own, I guess, your own desires or your own need. And so anyone who calls them, who isn't, who's in a position to be called a teacher or an instructor, I first have, immense, admiration for that because it's something that I tried and it's very hard for me to teach people because you got to be patient, you got to be fluid, and you got to adapt to that person's personality. And I don't think I'm there yet where, it's not about just me and my needs yet. I'm not as evolved, but, I guess the question is, when you go, I'm in my career, in my field, there's actors that deal with the same rejection and the pain, but then they take a course, and then when they make it or become successful, they're very toxic. They're very hyper competitive. They talk a lot of shit about everybody, and it's not a inviting or good mood dude vibe. They took it. They said, well, you know how hard it was for me. Like, I had nothing. Nobody helped me, so I'm not helping anybody. And so I really like to mind people like you is like, where do you get the spirit of like, you deal with rejection. You just told me how hard it is, right? Like, just fact, decent respect. They don't even reply to you. Like, oh, come on. They don't even do that. And instead of that turning into something toxic, what gives you guys the tools and the shield to continue to be good mood dude people,
Mine is my dad, probably. It's just how I've been brought up. My dad is quite an optimistic person. I love him to pieces. So is mum and dad both together. They're lovely people, and they've always brought me up. And I remember I quote my dad. He said, I can't remember who it was. It was some racing driver that was basically being a bit of a diva, and my dad was like, proper northern guy. He's like, Abigail, if you ever do anything like that, if I ever see your head in the clouds, I'm going to pull you back down to earth so hard. You're going to, remember where you come from. Never, ever, ever forget where you come from. Never forget the journey you've had. That's what makes you, you. And, I think probably in motorsport, the people that are the difficult ones and the divas and the not very nice people, they're the ones that haven't had the rejection. They haven't had the hard work. They might have had a few no's here and there, but actually the hard work that the grafters go through, they've not had to deal with it. So for them, they've had a lot of yeses and a lot of opportunities, and a lot of people come to them because they've got the money and so on. And so they almost feel entitled, and they feel as though they have a right to be in a certain championship or to be a racer. Whereas I think with George and I, we've had so many setbacks, and we've come from, don't get me wrong, my family are comfortable, we've not come from the bones of our arses, as my dad would say. But, we've still had to work hard. They've worked hard, and it just means it's more rewarding when you get the yeses, and, you enjoy those yeses a lot more.
I agree. I would go back to, God, saying this word in the same context as Fast and Furious, but it's family. You know what I mean? Like, genuinely, if I have a bad day at work dealing with toxic people, like you said, because there are quite a few in motorsport, like Abbie said, there are, like, you work when you work at race schools, or when you work in like launches for new cars, there's always like the sort of more elite group of certain racing drivers. Like I've met really good people who have had everything handed to them, and they're still good people, you know what I mean? And I've met, it's all good, but it's when people come in and they're like, they feel like they own everything because everything has always been given to them, you know what I mean? Like, and it gets really, there's so many people like that in the world of motorsport, and they get themselves up there by pushing you down, if you know what I mean. And
it's an insecurity thing on their
it's an insecurity thing. And for me, like, because it does affect you, when I feel down because of those people, I come home and I Skype my mom and my dad and my brother, and it's all good because I've got my family, and I know that a lot of those people don't have that, you know what I mean? Or don't have it in the same way, or don't value it as much as I do or we do, So
yes,
for me, that brings me like down from the clouds, or back down to earth, so to speak.
Well said.
So, Carfection track mode. What is it?
So, Carfection, first of all, is the absolute best automotive channel on YouTube. right next to
Yes.
Alex Does Cars. No, basically, it's a automotive publication. Let's call it that. I mean, they're mainly putting content out through YouTube, where we focus on the best content we can create possible. You know what I mean? The best sort of the highest production value, the most informative. Always with that sort of the cinematography being kind of the one of the key, one of the main things. Really, I think I don't know. We must be like one of the top 3 or 5 in terms of subscribers. Maybe I don't want to say a number, but we're one of the top ones here in the UK. But simply because like quality is like the number one thing, if you know what I mean, in terms of how we present a product. Let's call it that, a car, obviously in this case. And yeah, I'm very, very fortunate to be working with these guys because it was just so I kind of forced my way in. It's in a good way. I was working with a charity here in the UK called Speed of Sight ages ago. They're basically it's run by a chap called Mike Newman, and he's got the land speed record for a blind person. So he's completely blind, and he's done the world record. I think it's 213. I want to say 200 and something miles per hour
Crazy.
in a GT
Fair
while
play.
blind. So yeah, there are obviously all sorts of logistics that go into that. But anyway, he's a legend, and he runs a charity called Speed of Sight that builds cars and provides track experiences for people with, not just people with who are blind, but people with all sorts of disabilities. And I was at the time working with them, and I thought he's such an amazing person that I want to do like a documentary on him or something to like try and get the word out there. So I, with my crappy cameras and sort of crappy editing skills at the time, put together like a mini documentary about him, I guess, and about his journey and about the charity. And Drew, our editor at Carfection, at the time, he saw it and he was like, right, we want to do a feature on him, on Mike. So they came and did that. That's when I met the Drew from Carfection, or the guys at Carfection. And then, yeah, over the years, because I do a lot of work with manufacturers and like new car launches, whenever the media come to test drive the cars and write about them, I sit next to them and make sure they don't kill themselves and things like that. And I just, came across Carfection quite a few more times. And then one day I bumped into Drew at the International Film Festival here in the UK, Motor Film Festival, sorry. So it's basically a festival about films about cars. And we just started chatting, and I said, hey, look, I don't know how it works. Do you take on freelance workers? Do you have contributors, things like that? And he's like, yeah, we were always interested in good ideas, love putting stuff out there that's, original. And I said, look, I've got all these ideas. I want to do all this, like I'm going to send it to you. And he's like, yeah, cool, send me an email type thing. And I felt like, okay, maybe he's just saying that, but I don't know, I'm going to do it anyway. So I came home, transformed my home into a studio, my poor wife, and just basically did a few videos, kind of like at home on the ideas that I had. And I sent them to him. And I still don't know whether they were that good or bad, but he simply replied like, holy shit, you did what you said you were going to do type of thing. You know what I mean? So that kind of got his attention. And then I did some editing on one of the videos that they put out, and they're like, wow, so you can do video editing as well, like it's pretty cool. And I'm like, yeah,
George is very, very, very good at editing.
It's
he downplays it, he's wicked at it.
Anyway, so thank you, Abbie. So I thought, it's two things that I really like, obviously cars and driving, and I do like the what goes on behind the camera as well, and the editing and the whole process, cinematography of all these videos. So I started doing both type thing, and just like I said, I just kind of forced my way in, I guess, and here I am. They just started giving me more and more opportunities. I've driven some wicked cars. We've had some fun since, and they right there, for the love of cars. That's kind of what the channel is all about. You know what I mean? It's just trying to bring cars to life in the best way possible, whether it be it through cinematography or just car reviews. We've got obviously Henry Catchpole, who's, I will put a number on it now, he's like top 3 best in the UK at least. And he could read the phone book and you'd still pay like attention. So he's very, very good. And when I came in, it was kind of like trying to bring a bit more of a motorsport side to it, and just something different, you know what I mean? Because obviously I could never compete, and that's not the idea anyway. And I'm fortunate enough that Drew's got this mindset that like he wants to put videos out that he wants to see as well, you know what I mean? So it's not just what does well numbers wise, it's just bringing content that he finds worthwhile. And track mode is one of such examples, because like I said, I pitched this to him about 2 years ago, and it was just one day I was at a track day. I had a friend there who had a camera, and I was like, wouldn't it be cool to, like, we always come to these coliseums, you know what I mean, to all these racetracks, and I find that, like, if you're a car guy and if you love driving, you can't not love a racetrack or a specific racetrack, or be more enthusiastic about one more than the other, or there'd be a racetrack that you prefer, whatever. Racetracks, if there was no racetracks, there'd be no racing, you know what I mean? So I thought, some of these places have so much history that like you're not even aware with. Like people go, oh, I'm standing where like Ayrton Senna stood, and it's like, yeah, and more, you know what I mean? Because before him there was this whole thing, you know what I mean? There's this whole story, and I just started digging like through the history of Donington Park, which was the first episode that we did, and you find out that it was like a bike racer who was just trespassing the park around the Donington Hall. You know what I mean? And he's literally just going, wow, this would make a wicked racetrack. And he was busted, and like by the groundskeeper, and took him to, the owner of the land and everything. And he went like, right, I just found this guy like trespassing. And to weasel his way out of it, to like try and get out of it, he said, oh, I was only here because I think it would make a really good racetrack. We should come racing here. And obviously the owner went like, no idea, but like, okay, that sounds, would it make money? And he's like, oh, absolutely. Loads of people would come. Like, no idea, but loads of people would come. And that was that. Like, they gave it a go. And now we have Donington Park, like one of the most iconic racetracks in the UK. And yeah, I just found like all these little nuggets of history would be worth telling. Obviously, we are a car channel, an automotive related channel. So to go to these tracks and talk about the tracks, we're going to need a car. And I just thought, if we get a car, if we try and every time get a car that is the most appropriate possible for the track that we're going to, that makes it, it marries the two things a bit better. So we try to fill in our viewers, with the story about the track, whilst taking them around the track, telling them how we see it from our perspective as racing drivers, and how we feel like a certain corner should be taken. And then at the end, we go for a fast lap. I either like instruct Abbie or she instructs me, and just so you can really feel like what it would be like to go around that track at speed with all the pace notes, if you want to call it that, with all the instructions. And we just wrap it up at the end like that. And it just sort of, just the whole package of, you know what I mean? We do them on track days. I made a point of filming these things during track days, because how it is, like there's always interesting people around, always interesting cars. There's always a dynamic that just naturally happens when there's other cars on track, whether it's, funny or cool or fast or this, whatever. So it just, yeah. And like Alex said, it's good. I'm so glad like to hear when you said that, like it really resonated with you, because I was nervous, it was kind of like my brainchild. And I thought, this is either going to like hit the right notes, or it's going to flop. And yeah, I think it's been doing all right. I mean, we were supposed to be up to like 5th or 6th episode by now. Because of COVID, we've done 2 episodes, one at Donington Park, one at Cadwell Park, which is even more of a gem of a track, which is, they call it the Mini Nürburgring, and there is a reason behind that, which is what we set out to find on that episode. And we take a Lotus Exige Cup 430, which is just an insane car, like so fast, so nimble. It was perfect for that track, we found. That was the idea. And yeah, just all these like funny little things happen, and there's so many cool stories that just come to life when we're there, and then we just tell that on the show. So in a nutshell, that's it.
Great idea.
I think it's just
So
part of it was to try and be a little bit informative,
Mhm.
light-hearted, a little bit of humor, and just some, I think some of the history parts of the circuit and stuff. I think it's just so interesting, and it's stuff that you take for granted when you're driving around these things. There's certain big things that, as you say, that certain part of the track that a lot of people know, but it's the little bits and bobs that you never hear from. And I
It's
think
like Cadwell Park. Sorry, like Barn Corner at Cadwell Park.
Yeah.
That everyone knows. Like, why is it called Barn Corner? Because there used to be a barn there, and during races, it was actually stipulated in the circuit license they could only run races at the circuit if they opened the gates to the barn, so that if people like missed their braking point, they could just like dodge through the barn type thing. And that's hilarious to me, and it's just so funny how like back in the day, motorsport was this, not almost utopic scene, you know what I mean?
What health and safety.
It's just like, what health and safety, you know what I mean? Like, there's Cadwell Park, like the son of the owner of the land, again, who was the one that sort of started the whole racing thing. They used to race bikes there. Still to this day, it's mainly known for its bikes. Super bikes going over the hill at Cadwell Park is over the mountain. It's crazy. He like did the first few races there, and his career came to an end because on one of the races that he won, he crossed the finish line in first place, flat out as you do, obviously. And right on the other side of the finish line was the stand for the timekeepers, who at the time who would mark the times on the stopwatch. So he just like obliterated the stand, ended up in a coma in hospital, and eventually came back, so to speak. And they were like, okay, like we're going to have to sort this out because this is dangerous. But the way they thought was, okay, this is dangerous for the timekeepers. So they thought, all right, let's park a double-decker bus here, put the timekeepers on the top, so then if the bikes hit the bus, they don't hurt the timekeepers. But they still parked the bus after the finish line. So on the next race, obviously, the guy who won it went straight into the bus, lost a leg. And it's just like, there's just so many stories like that they beg belief, you know what I mean? It's crazy. So
It's great.
Yeah,
That's a great idea.
We tell all these stories whilst going around flat out shouting at each other. So it makes it quite interesting.
Yeah, it's a great balance. It's a great balance of that, for the motorsport enthusiast and the history buff, because I love that history aspect of it. Like that's good, when you go to an old football field, right, in England, there's so much history, and people love to tell you about the history, right? And it's brilliant. Yeah. I'm a fan. I'm gonna be subscribing and watching. I'll be telling everybody about it.
Life made.
Brilliant, guys. Brilliant. Yeah, brilliant.
Well, there's one. Abbie can't do Spa, right? Did you say Spa, Abbie?
Yeah, Spa.
Abbie has got other commitments with the race series that she's doing, so she can't do Spa. So there might be an opening spot for a guest host. That might be. We'll have to cast you. We'll have to come in and read for it.
I don't have the strength. I'll never wake up.
I'm pretty sure it would be a guaranteed yes, but it's up to you.
I'm going into a coma. I'm going into a coma. Can't handle it anymore.
That would be an amazing track to go around though.
That would have been, and Spa as well. That one.
Yeah, I can actually. I'm not busy on the day, but I'm not allowed to do it because the series that I'm racing in, there's a rule that basically I can't race at any of the tracks, or I can't even drive around any of the circuits that I'm going to race at once the season's started. So I'm free and I could go there, but I'm not allowed. I've been there before, but I'm not allowed. So yeah, it's a shame, but I would be honoured if you would take my place and do it. So yeah. Feel free.
It's official. It's full.
By the way, it's terrifying being sat next to George. Just
is it?
Especially in a car.
No, it's not really. It's good. I trust him.
You're
in safe hands.
I don't get scared sat next to Abbie.
No.
Fine. No.
No, why? You should be. You should be terrified.
No,
we should try and make that work. That'd be a lot of fun.
Genuinely, I'd I mean, to be honest, anything that could come of this and like that we could do on the channel, like it would be an honor. But that would be super cool because I think
I would love that.
Like I said, Spa is a really that when I said Colosseums, like Spa is like a motorsport Colosseum. You know what I mean? So much history. So yeah.
Well, the plan is I think by once all this COVID stuff is is kind of sorted out, I'm supposed to be in England, so I'll be there for a while. So you guys will probably be sick of me. So, but I'm glad I know some teachers there, so I can improve my driving while I'm out there, and we can hang out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that'd be wonderful.
Oh yeah.
How far are you guys from London?
Couple of hours on the
Couple
train,
hours?
like
Yeah,
50
on the train.
minutes,
Yeah. I'd say, well, yeah, it
40
depends.
minutes.
At the moment with COVID, no traffic. An hour and 20 minutes. I had to go to the doctor's there the other day. I did it in an hour and 20 minutes. It's really like, we got the M1, which is literally like the main highway that's just straight in, and it's good. Obviously, if we're talking in normal times with London traffic, well,
Don't want to do it.
yeah, go on the train.
Yeah.
I like the train. I take the train as much as I can.
Yeah,
Anytime there's
same.
trains in the city, I take that. It's foolish to take a taxi or a car.
We just find that, like, in the area that we're in, like in the Midlands, I suppose, we're like in the center of the motorsport web. You know what I mean? Like, me and Abbie work a lot at Silverstone. We work a lot at Bedford Autodrome. Like, we're kind of as close to every racetrack as you can get, apart from like, at the same time, if you know what I'm trying to say. Like, it's the most convenient place. There's loads of racing drivers around here. It's genuinely.
That's
like,
the only reason I'm here.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Oh,
Well,
really?
Yeah.
yeah.
Center. Hey, you guys, do you feel like motorsport is dying in the UK? Because in California, the word on the street is they could barely get enough cars in a Formula Drift, final competition, because the sponsors are pulling out. There's just no money, and the audiences are not watching, right? So even on YouTube, like Formula Drift had like 1,700 viewers the whole time, right?
Yeah,
And like that's not going to sustain, So how do you guys feel? Is there a future?
I think the opposite here. I think it's getting bigger and bigger, especially at club level. There's been a massive increase of people in motorsport. Even like last year, obviously we had the lockdown, and in between those periods where you were able to go to tracks, that you could not get in to do a track day or test it anywhere. It was absolutely chocker. It was full, and I think maybe it's just made people think, do you know what? I only live once, and I want to go out and I want to have fun, and my passion is motorsport, so I'm going to go out on track. And I think it could even be that obviously big companies have been hit by these issues that have arisen with COVID, so they haven't got the millions of pounds to spend on the high level of racing, so they're having to kind of come down to cheaper racing in club motorsport. And I think we're lucky in the UK, as we mentioned earlier, that it is a good motorsport scene in the UK, and a lot of the championships now are oversubscribed. Like there's an MX5 championship, for example, that they have to split the entries up into 3 heats because there's so many cars. They've got 3 heats of 30 cars, and then they go through to an A final and a B final, and then a full final at the end. So I mean, in terms of the drift side of things, I'm not really fully clued up in the UK on drift stuff, but I think probably in the UK drift is less popular. I think it's mainly circuit racing, but I couldn't say how it's been affected drift wise with people, picking it up or not. But
I think there's still, I think it's kind of the same, Abbie, in terms of like the drifting world. Like a lot of my friends, there are now, instead of just having like literally the BDC, the British Drifting Championship, like you've got further level, like club level events below that are more accessible. You know what I mean? That's that's one of the reasons why I moved to the UK, is that the UK is really good with like as soon as a certain car like reaches a certain age and goes below a certain price, someone's going to come up with a championship for it. It's genuinely like, there's Ford KA championships, there's Citroen C1s, like all kinds of MX5s, MR2s, Ford Focuses. Like as soon as, you know what I mean, the cars become like, now there's the BMW 1 Series trophy as well that I think you did with Tim Britt, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Abbie, you did like as soon as the cars become a bit more affordable, someone like makes there's clubs that put together championships, and it is you can do it at a club level. You know what I mean? You can do, if you have a job that pays well enough, so to speak, and you've got a little bit of disposable income, yeah, your first year you'll spend the money on the car and it's a bit of a hit, but then the year after that it's a little bit cheaper, and so on and so on. And you get people who, like, I'm sure, Abbie, like when you started racing in the MX5 Championship, there's people who are still doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
All
think, do
these
you know what?
years,
I'm just
like,
trying to think. Maybe we've already been through this bit of a dip with motorsport. Maybe 2010 time. I remember the grids weren't quite as big, and I think there's probably been a bit of a push over here to make these lower championships more feasible to do and easier. And there's a few more endurance championships coming out where you can split the costs with 2 or 3 drivers as well. So I think we've probably already had our bit of a lull, but yeah, whether this whole Brexit thing changes things at all, with going to race out in Europe and that kind of stuff, but I don't think that'll stop us as Brits. I think if we want to race out there, we'll jump through the hoops to go and do it. But yeah, it just seems to be booming.
I think it's a sort of two ends, like you said, Sung, because, for example, yeah, so the drifting champion, the biggest drifting championship out there, is seeing smaller numbers on YouTube, and it's like, here is, if you think big championships are seeing like 2,000 viewers, small championships are now seeing 2,000 viewers, which for them is like, wow, we never had this much attention before, because of YouTube, because of the online streaming stuff, because before you used to be like, try to do championships that would have some TV exposure, so you could sell that to promote yourself through that. Whereas now they're all kind of streamed in one way or another. So you can put your car or the brand in front of people. I think, like Abbie said, here in the UK, it's okay. It's okay at the moment, and maybe it is a bit because of COVID. People are now like, I have felt that with coaching, with people looking for driver coaching, where they've been like, right, I've had this GT3 in my garage that I just drive around the road, been meaning to take it around the track, never did it. All of a sudden, COVID, life as we know it kind of changed. Damn, I want to enjoy it. I want to go. I want to do it. You know what I mean? So maybe they're being a bit more sort of opening their purse a bit more. I don't know. Maybe it's maybe it's a false thing. And then when everyone runs out of money again.
You got a purse, George.
A man purse.
I've never had to call it a purse in ages. Only my mum.
Well, a lot of men.
You say loosen the purse
purse
strings, right? Loosen the purse strings. That's the.
Isn't it in Hangover when he says what's it? It's a satchel, actually. It's a man purse.
A satchel. A merce. We call it a merce.
A merce.
Merce. Yeah. A lot of Asian men carry merces in Asia. When I went to Asia, it was a little weird for me because masculinity is defined a little differently in America and compared to Asia. Like, it's okay for an Asian man to have a perm and like bleach his hair blonde and wear a pink shirt and and tight pants and have a merce, and it's still masculine, right? In America, you're like, whoa, what is that? Carrying a purse? Hey, son, you can't be carrying a purse. But it's interesting. Like, all my cousins, they're fashionistas, right? And these guys have like these purses, and I'm like, geez, man, and they spend money on their purse.
Yeah. Money involves ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah.
Gotta look fresh, haven't you?
You gotta look fresh.
Yeah.
So, Abbie, do you think your TV exposure doing the Grand Tour and things like that, do you think that helps with getting you seats?
Definitely. Yeah, 100%. When I ended up doing the Grand Tour, I think it was end of 2017 was my kind of first, when we first did the filming, and 2017 I didn't actually race anything. 2016 I did a full year of British GT, used all the money that I had from sponsors to do that, and then finished second in Pro-Am, but didn't have any money to do anything the following year. But thankfully I had a kind of shootout drive offered to me to race in Blancpain in the GT3 championship, and managed to do that and win the seat, and then we ended up winning the race, and it was like, cool, wicked, perfect opportunity, perfect result, something's got to come from this. And I don't know whether it was because of that or just, they said it was a culmination of the different results and stuff I'd had over the year, that the Grand Tour wanted me to kind of come down and have an audition and just see if I was fast enough around the track and all that kind of stuff. So, thankfully, was and got offered the job. And obviously it's lifted my profile quite a lot. It's kind of given me a new audience to kind of, show what I can do to as well. So it's offered opportunities since then. I've had a few guest drives in the rallycross, in European rallycross. Had a guest drive in the Jaguar I-Pace as well that supports Formula E.
Yeah, sure.
And I think all the other bits and bobs that I've had along the way and opportunities, and I've probably secured a few more sponsors on the back of it as well, which is, obviously a massively important thing in motorsport. So yeah, it's definitely not been a negative thing, that's for sure. Obviously it's kind of similar to George when track mode went out, you're probably a bit nervous as to how it was going to be perceived. And, for myself and being put in this role that's predominantly been a male role taken by the Stig, it's kind of one of those things where I was expecting quite a lot of negativity, probably 60% or 50-50 maybe, let's say, positive to negative. But actually it was like 98% positive. Like there were so many positive comments from people, and the 2 or 3% of negative stuff was just people that just didn't have anything to say. So they were like, well, she's slow, that kind of stuff. So I would be more offended if it was, if they'd actually taken time and find something to criticize me properly about, but they couldn't do it. And it was quite overwhelming, really, the reaction that everyone had with me. So I think it's a combination of the Grand Tour and the producers doing it at the right time, picking the right person, and it all working well together. So
that was
I run a site called Grand Tour Nation, and it focuses on Grand Tour and the media stuff, and it's pretty big. And we only got positive comments about you through the whole thing. There was never anything negative. Unlike no, it's it. But what was it like? Yes,
the American guy.
Yeah,
that's him.
He was
destined to fail, to be honest, especially with the UK viewers.
Yes.
I think probably it was set up that the Grand Tour was owned by Amazon, which is an American company, and they wanted to just give it a little bit of an American kind of injection of humor. But I think us Brits were like, oh goodness gracious me.
I mean, I talked to him earlier late last year, and he was like, he basically just said, I'm so annoyed because they gave me scripts and they gave me things to say that were overly American.
Guy.
He's a really nice guy, but no, he didn't do too well from it, but he is a really nice guy and he's a great driver.
Yeah.
What was it like driving for like a film crew compared to driving competitively? What was the difference?
It's kind of a similar kind of pressure, but it's more done on like one lap kind of shootout type things, if you like, and making sure you get the shot first time. I mean, you don't have to in a lot of things, they'll want the shot a million times to get a couple of different angles from it, but I don't know if George, you're the same as me, but like I want to nail it on that first shot, and you'll give it your all, do it, and then they'll tweak it a little bit and stuff like that. And how the laps are filmed is I'll end up doing like a few practice laps, and then I'll maybe we've got to get 2 or 3 laps that are within like a tenth of each other, so that it's a legit time and we know that I haven't fluked it and that kind of stuff. And once we get the laps in, then we'll do some shots for the camera to all be put together for the film. So you'll see stuff where like in the feature the cars will be drifting, or it'll be a cool kind of slow-mo of the car and tracking of the car and stuff like that. So that stuff again is really exciting to do, and I love it. I absolutely love doing it. And it's a different kind of reward you get from doing that as opposed to racing and winning a race, but it's all part of the same automotive bug and the same automotive fire that you kind of keep fueling and keep it going.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Did you work closely with Clarkson, Hammond and May? Oh, and do they have stunt drivers?
So worked closely with them on a few of the different challenges. Most of the stuff that I did with the lap times, we basically filmed that all on kind of one day. They're all incredibly good drivers. When you see them going sideways, it is them. They're all pretty handy. If you compared them to like Joe Bloggs, Mr. Public, that they are a million steps ahead of kind of general public in that view. And so they should be. They've spent their life playing around with cars and playing with cars and tracks. So they are all extremely capable drivers, and some more than others, as we've seen from some of the crashes that some of them had. But yeah, we can't all be perfect, can we?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I can't talk at all. Oh, nice. So when are we going to see you two on TV?
Well, I think a guest appearance by Sung Kang on one of the episodes was definitely catapult the show.
It might kick it. It might kick it, yeah.
No, to be honest, I don't know, because it's I don't want to say like YouTube is where it's at, but I'm okay with I'm okay with the freedom that we have from you know what I mean, from doing things on the internet. Sometimes stuff on TV, like Abbie said, like they're all really good drivers. Like if you only need to go and see like a Top Gear live show at the time to see them, the three of them coming in doing helicopter donuts, like you don't do that if you're a bad driver, you know what I mean? So sometimes you have to play that part a bit, Captain's Flow, whatever, and I don't know, online you just got a bit more freedom to sort of be yourself, and people just kind of either take to that or not, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I think it's quite accessible as well. Everything now is streamed. So, if you watch it on the TV on like a whatever mainstream channel, you miss it, then actually sometimes it's a bit difficult to find. Whereas if you're online, you type it in and there it is. But if there's ever any opportunities to get on TV and do something similar, then George and I will jump at the opportunities to do so. But I'm same as George, kind of happy where I am at the moment. I've got what is hopefully going to be a busy year ahead. If there was any TV stuff come up anyway, it might be a little bit difficult to kind of fit it in, which is a nice problem to have. But we'll see what happens possibly in the future.
Not to blow like our own trumpet too much, but
go on, George, do it.
I would challenge people to, like the Top Gear has always been like literally the standard for cinematography in terms of like car videos. And if you go on Carfection and a few other channels, but like you're gonna struggle to like see stuff that's that much better on TV nowadays, I think.
You're so right. Yeah.
The quality, like, I was doing a podcast the other day. It was more of a technical, like more to do with the cinematography podcast. And they were asking me like about when did I start at Carfection? And they had said that like Carfection is to cars what BBC Wildlife is to animals. You know what I mean? Like what the David Attenborough shows that you see with animals, that's not me saying it, someone else saying it. And I thought that's a pretty good place to be at. You know what I mean? Because we got Charlie Rose. He's our sort of like in-house guru, like video, and like he's an incredible editor, an incredible videographer, and like every video that comes out, it just gets better and better. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, I'm happy to. I'm very kind of, you get a bit of that imposter syndrome sometimes, because you're like, damn, like how am I up here with these people that are so good at what they do? You know what I mean? So
no, I mean, coming from a car enthusiast, like, we're kind of used to these vloggers on YouTube, but then Carfection came along. And not that the vlogging thing is bad. It's just a different style. But Carfection came along, and it was almost like they translated the world of car magazines to YouTube. And you just think, how can they do this? It's on YouTube, and obviously the you've got a budget, but it's not as high as these TV guys. You just think that's ridiculous. It's the quality is brilliant, and I'm really enjoying track mode, and I can't wait to see more of it.
Can we?
Yeah.
Get out there.
No, I can't wait. And we have featured it on Sung's Garage, and readers absolutely loved it. They went mad for it.
I will frame and put on my wall for sure.
Too kind.
Is production shut down in the UK? Is that why you guys can't be shooting? Completely shut down.
Completely, yeah. We are on full lockdown. And there's just till probably April. It's looking like
April.
Yeah,
we had even more bad news today, didn't we?
What's the news today?
Boris, he's like, he's saying that the virus that they're like, what do you call it? The mutation, it was spreading faster, but now they're saying that it's actually more potent as well.
It is what it is.
It is.
Yeah.
We gotta
see.
stick it out. It is what it is.
I'm
Like
trying to
Abby
get
said.
over to across the pond. That's
I know,
why I keep
I know.
asking.
I know. We want you here.
Yeah.
No.
No, they literally we were thinking of maybe taking refuge, so to speak, in Portugal, taking my wife and my son to Portugal for a bit, so you can at least spend some time with my family. But they've suspended all flights.
The banders, don't they?
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
No in and out, no in or out.
Pesky Brits.
None.
Yeah.
We gotta get
Yeah,
Well,
but even
thank you
even
so
if you
much.
don't end up coming over to the UK, I've got one race in America at Curta. So if you can get down, you are more than welcome to come and have a little look around and see what the F1 paddock's like. But yeah, that's not going to be till October. So hopefully by that point, everything will be somewhere back to.
Yeah, we want to go and shoot some episodes of track mode in the US as well. You know, like it's literally we always ask the viewers, and everyone's like, you know, come to
Laguna Seca,
do like all these amazing tracks. Oh, this one's really good. This one, and I'm like, yeah, I know. I really want to. Like,
you guys I gotta link you guys up with Pat, the new owner of Bondurant's Racing School. That is a great track for you guys to do history on. And the new owner is just a great human being. And they need help because that, you know, he went and actually rescued that whole institution because it was gonna go to one of his Bondurant's like fifth wife or sixth wife or something like that. So this guy is actually trying to keep this legacy going. So I would love for you guys to meet him and go to the track.
That is the kind of track, you know what I mean? Like that we want to visit, you know, something that has history from the get-go that we can discover, you know what I mean, while we're there. And yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Always.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, if I can come to COTA, if I'm not in England in October, I'll come out and see you, Abbie. That'd be cool. I love COTA. That's a beautiful track out there. A lot of friends out there.
Yeah, I've never driven it. I've only done it on the sim, so lots to learn.
Yeah.
But it looks wicked.
Yeah, it's a great town too. So, all right. So, anything else, Alex?
Nice.
I mean, I don't want to keep everybody. This is. I feel like I can talk to you all day. It's a good hour and a half already. Wow, this.
I've decided that as soon as we can, I'm getting lessons, guys. I'm hitting you up for some driving lessons.
Yeah.
No, good. Yeah. No, definitely. Thanks so much for joining us. It's been really good, and we can't wait to watch track mode. Where can people find you? Instagram, YouTube?
Go, Abbie.
Abbie?
Yeah, Instagram, Abbie Eaton 44, same on Twitter. YouTube, I've got a few little bits and bobs on there, but yeah, just go through it from my from my Instagram. And yeah, YouTube for Carfection and more track mode.
All right.
Yeah, and I've not been great with social media in the past, and I'm now sort of it's a love-hate relationship, but you will mostly find me on Instagram, Jorge Calado Racing. That would be but yeah, just Google me.
We'll put links we'll put links all over the place as well.
Yeah.
It's easy to find you guys. It's easy. Yeah, it's pretty easy to find you guys.
Carfection, track mode for loads of amazing car content.
Yeah, seriously, watch it. It's very, very good.
Definitely.
Very good. You can find us, just search sunksgarage.com, find us on Twitter, Facebook, all that, just search Sunks Garage. It's very simple. Thank you so much for joining us. Really enjoyed it. It's been a lot of fun. And if we can help out at all in the future, we'll always feature your videos and things like that. They're
Alex, quick question. Why do we have to tell people where to find us? Because if they're watching us, they already found us.
Yeah.
But if they found us through Twitter and not Facebook.
Oh, right. All right.
I agree. People want to find something.
I feel so bad for Alex because every time he's like, "Man, I got to do this."
It's the worst part, man. It's the worst. I feel so bad plugging. I don't like it. I've never been good at social media either. It's one of my least favorite things, but it's my job.
Let me ask you this. Why is it your least favorite thing? You both say you have a love and hate relationship with social media. What is the hate part? I don't understand it. because
maybe
it
hate's
has
not
no
the right
control.
word.
Okay.
Because maybe hate's not the right word, because the hateful part of social media is, you know, the whole sort of dark side of the internet in
Yes.
general. It's not
Yeah.
just social
Oh,
media,
right.
you know.
Right.
But when I say love it or hate, it's just that sometimes, you know, a number of subscribers or a number of followers, you know, just kind of doesn't really translate, doesn't really show who you are and what you've been doing. And sometimes you do the right things. Sometimes you do the right things and you just don't get that recognition that you think you deserve. It. That's fine. That's just the way the world is. So yeah, no, I'm okay with social media then.
Yeah, you know, I understand what you're saying, because, you know, if sometimes I feel like I question humanity because I put something up that is positive, that actually feels like it has depth. There's like 2 likes, you know, 2 likes from a super fan that's not even reading what I'm writing. It's just because there's a post up, right? And then you put, hey, look at this badass booty of a Ferrari. It's like a billion views, right? You're
Literally.
like, what is this, right?
Yeah.
So I get it, but that's where we come in and we camouflage the message, right? Like there's a purpose behind it. We're still looking delicious, right? But then, you know, we got the extra layers, right? Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, it's just that's the thing with social. I find with Facebook and Twitter, the negative stands out, and that, like, my main job is writing and putting out articles. And I find if I put out an article, if someone likes it, they don't say anything. They just go about their life. If someone doesn't like it, they will tell you straight away and use all the swear words and call you all the names in the book. And like when you were saying, you know, how do you pick yourself up after getting a no? That's like my kind of no. When someone replies and you see a comment going, I don't agree, you're shit. I don't read comments anymore. That's why I don't do social media. It's the negativity that just that's the cream that just rises to the top.
I can see that. Yeah, I have that problem with like reading comments too, and then I used to retaliate. And then I realized it wasn't fair.
Ooh, yeah.
It's not fair when I'm retaliating against a 12-year-old in Jamaica somewhere.
We'll only get positive comments on this though. I hope.
I get it. Yeah. It's contextualized. I understand.
Yeah.
Well, all right, guys. Well,
cool. Thanks, everyone. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah. True honor.
Likewise.
Thank you, guys. I can't wait to meet you guys in person. Thank you for your time.
I really appreciate it. Friday night.
Yeah, and with all the jokes aside, thank you for what you guys shared. It's really, it's giving me some answers.
Likewise. Thank you for giving us the time, giving us a platform to come and put the name of the show out there and ourselves a bit.
It's a pleasure.
So,
and if you do end up coming to the UK and you do end up being able to come and have a look at Jess's 350, she will probably die with excitement. So
we'll make it happen.
Yeah,
we'll make it happen.
Yeah,
we'll definitely make that happen.
Sounds good.
You guys are going to do great. I don't worry about you guys. You guys are going to be a smashing success, because I can tell, and I'm usually right about these things. You guys embody a soul that it needs to be out there. So thank you for existing, and thank you for being you guys. So,
it's our pleasure.